Hello. Um, a quick tidbit before I start. I don't know. This isn't a thought that I had. I don't have a lot to say on this. It's not a note that I really put down. But the past few days, I would say I didn't really feel so good. Physically, I was fine. Um, but I don't know. I just didn't feel good. And I really don't know if it was me personally or if it's more than that. Not sure if I can really explain it. I just feel like there is a collective doom and gloom to the world right now. And I'm uncertain if a part of me feels that and so I feel down, or if it's just my current circumstances have kind of made me feel a little off. Because it very well could be that. It could be both. But I just thought it was interesting because I just, the past few days, I just really haven't felt as good. And so I just thought that that was interesting. Um, so I thought I would share that. And now I'm gonna move on to this, right? Why did I call the bad guys or the people who want to try out domination, hoarding wealth, and exploitation children? So there's a talk that I did. I don't remember which one it was. It was somewhere recent. Where I talked about how the reason why like in theory we can come back, right, and reincarnate or something along those lines. And we have kind of a mental fog where we don't quite, or a conscious, not really mental, it's more of a consciousness fog where we don't really remember um, who we are, right? And so I had done a talk talking about like what that is and why that could potentially be, and going into that a little bit. And I came to a point where I said the reason why I think that is because that the bad people that are bad, I guess put that in quotations. The people that are bad, not quotations. What's that word? Oh, geez. Uh, anyway, the people that are the, bad guys in the world and do bad things, why, I basically said, they complain that we're too good at the game, right? And we always win. And so they complain about it. And so I kind of made them sound like crybabies, and I might have actually called them crybabies. And they kind of pout and complain and throw little temper tantrums saying it's not fair. We want to play our game and you keep winning, and I don't know necessarily why I thought about this, but I just kind of thought about it. It's like, why did I call them, children? Why did I make them out to be kids? Right? And to me, like, I don't know why I really thought about this, because the reason why I said that is because, from my perspective, it just makes sense. And so it just seemed logical to call them children. But I realized that maybe that's not exactly, the obvious conclusion to make there, right? And so maybe that's why this kind of was brought back up in my head. My mind was like, wait, like, maybe that's not, maybe that's not as, obvious, or maybe like just kind of bringing it back up to, go over it again and be like, reanalyzing my own thoughts, I guess. And I came to the same conclusion again. No, yeah, like, no, like I wasn't just being like mean. Like, no, like they've got to be kids. And the reason why I say this is because I was thinking about. I'm just gonna read what I wrote here. Right, I was thinking about this a little, and the answer I came to rather quickly, and so I thought it might be good to share. Right, because I've rethought about this. Right, and I came back to my answer as I was just saying pretty quickly. No, yeah, no, it makes sense. It's the only logical thing is they'd have to be children. Nothing else would make sense. And so only a child could desire such things as they have not yet experienced them. Once you have, however, you realize how empty and foolish it truly is. I am talking spiritually here. I cannot say with certainty, but I do not believe myself a child anymore. Am I perfect? Of course not. I'm human. So what I'm saying there is like, so when I say they're children, I don't mean like these people like that are doing bad things are obviously not kids anymore, right? But one thing that I've noticed as I've started to grow up, and this is probably one of the most jarring things as I grew up and kind of started to understand the world a little more. As I grew up, I started to realize that everyone is still kind of a kid, right? You grow up and you become an adult, but everyone's still kind of a kid at heart, at the very least, right? And some people grow up, and what I would say, like, everyone grows up at the same pace, right? Everyone becomes 1 year older every year. But your physical age and your maturity level are two different things. And this is an interesting thing to think about, because you think, oh, well, this person's, 10 years older than me. They must be 10 years wiser. And that is just not always the case. And an example that I can kind of use for this is, because it was a really eye-opening experience for me. I have an aunt that I would say never fully grew up. Completely capable of being an adult in the sense that she can do adult things, right? However, I don't really know how to describe it. There is a part of her that just never grew up past a certain age. And that age is probably somewhere in the teen years. Never really got past that point of development. And it's just very interesting to see a person that is more than twice your age throw a temper tantrum like they're 12. And experiencing that firsthand really kind of shocked me. I was baffled by it, because for a long time, I thought the older you are, the more mature you get. And it's just not true. That's kind of a stereotype for old people. You seem, oh, you're old, you must be wise. And it's just not true. And kind of taking this farther, as you grow up, you assume that everyone around you, knows more than you, that is an adult, and you look up to them as an authority figure. And this kind of happened for me as I went off to college and got my own perspective on life a bit. And I'm really not sure when my transition from my old mindset or mental state happened. But somewhere, like, I mentioned this to my mom, and she was like, you're not much different. And I just, maybe not to you, but I don't think I would even recognize myself like my younger self at this point. And it's just a very interesting thing to think about how much I don't know exactly when the change happened. It was probably a slow progression, But who I am now is very different from who I was. At least that's how I feel. And I just had a whole perspective shift, I feel like. And as I kind of came to accept this more and realize, I don't really know what's going on here, right? And I started to kind of learn more things. I started to realize that it's not just me that doesn't know what's going on necessarily. My parents, I thought my parents knew everything. My parents could do everything. They like, if I didn't know how to do something, they could always solve the problem, right? And I started to realize that my parents are just as clueless as I am. And it's not just them, it's everyone. Everyone is just doing the best they can and hoping it's good enough, right? No one has this figured out. And no one really knows what's going on. And I just find this really interesting. And the thing that I kind of got a little distracted with a side tangent and some backstory here. But the point I'm trying to make is I had this perspective shift, and I feel like my shift in perspective and my level of understanding does not match my age. And I don't think, on one level, I think I began to consume a lot of content that exposed me to a lot of ideas and reminded me of this understanding that I didn't initially, like, I had it, but I had forgot it. And all of these things kind of reminded me, oh yes, that's true. I remember that's right. And I feel like as I slowly consumed more information and more knowledge and kind of exposed myself to new ideas, I started to piece together my own worldview, excluded from everyone else around me. And so the benefit of that is that I feel like I found a level of actual truth. The problem is that no one else around me, because I did it separately from everyone else around me, I have alienated myself from everyone around me. And so I have family and I have friends, but none of them understand. And the problem with that is that I cannot tell if I'm delusional or if they are. And the benefit of the online world is that when you go on YouTube, you can find people, and I've found people that talk about the things that I am thinking, that I am seeing, that I am feeling. And it has helped me to realize that if I'm crazy, what are the odds that this person that doesn't know me at all feels and is not only thinks the exact same things that I'm thinking, but is thinking about them at the same time I am. And maybe you can say there's some confirmation bias there, that's what I'm looking for, so that's what I find. And maybe that's true, but that's kind of my point. If I was crazy, I don't think I would find multiple people with the same ideas. And maybe that's, again, comfort, like you're saying, oh, well, that's whatever. I'm going to stop going down that path because I feel like it is a hard, the thing is that that's kind of my problem, right? Because it's a hard argument to make. I'm not crazy because these people agree with me. But you could easily look at a person that is crazy and they have people agreeing with them too, right? So it's not a good backing. All I have to go off of is my own opinion, my own, intuition, I guess, right? And what it tells me is that I'm right. And I don't know, all I can do is go off of that, really. But I feel like I keep getting very distracted with this. But what I'm trying to say, is that there are people way older than me that are still just as clueless about the world that they live in, right? They have had just as much time as me to experience the world and to see what I have seen, and I have seen it in half the time, if not a quarter of the time that they have. And yet my perspective is just so very different, and I feel like it's the truth. And I know that everyone thinks they believe the truth and what their worldview is correct. And so it's not necessarily the best argument, but personally, I'm gonna continue to read, and then we'll continue. There are those who have yet to see the truth. This is not their fault. We all have or will do the same, right? So I am simply saying that I think I have been made wise beyond what's reasonable for my age, an understanding that can only be achieved through experience that I have not had, reminded of, but not lived in this life. I do not say this to flex my status and feel important. I'm just stating my opinion and thoughts for those who may feel they too know a bit more than they should. So what I'm saying with this is that there are certain things that I just know to be true. And I feel like the only way I would know that to be true is to have lived the experience, is to have done it. Because if you think about it like this, how do you know that touching something hot is going to burn you? Everyone tells you, don't touch it, it's hot, it'll burn you. But how do you know? Right? You know because you've experienced it. And if you haven't experienced yet, you're a little kid, you don't know, right? And you touch something hot, ow, that burned. Okay, I'm not doing that again. Yeah, it is hot, it does burn. I won't do that again. That's how you know. You experienced it, right? And so I have this intuition, this understanding in my head that I know to be true. And I have not had to do a lot of things. My life has been relatively easy, relatively simple, right? I'm not saying I've never gone through any struggles ever. My life is perfect and I've been in pure bliss. But I have not had to truly suffer anything, in my opinion. And maybe that's just my opinion. Maybe if someone else lived my life, they wouldn't feel the same way. I don't know, right? But my life has been relatively plain, I would say. And yet I understand things that I just don't think I should. And I don't know how else better to explain that. And as I said, I'm not trying to say this to be like I am this wise sage, but I do feel that these talks that I do, a lot of them touch on truths that I don't necessarily know if I'm qualified to be saying, right? Because I'm not very old, right? Like, to be speaking as if I know all the truths of the universe is just very bizarre for someone my age. I look around at the majority of people my age, and they are not me. They are not doing this. And I know that, like, I feel like this is a weird video for me to make. And I was kind of like, do I really make that? That's kind of weird, right? But I feel like I just want to get this out there because it's not that I don't think I'm the only one. I know I'm not the only one that might, maybe not necessarily feels this way right now, but I'm not the only one that this is the case for. And so there are people out there that are spiritually, right, consciously children. Not consciously as they're consciously choosing to be children. Children as in their consciousness is young. And then there are people who aren't. There's the term an old soul, right? And I've been called this on multiple occasions. And I kind of, whenever I'm told that in the past I've been told that, and I kind of was like, I don't really like being called that. Like, I don't know. I'm an old soul, like, I don't know. I don't really identify with that, right? I'm not an old soul. I'm just me, right? And I think a realization that I really recently had is that, why am I afraid of that term, right? Why am I denying that? Because the reality is that I think it's true. And it's very interesting to be living in this world, especially right now, and looking around at all the people around me, and I just don't understand them. I don't understand. I don't understand. I don't see how they don't see what I see. And the only conclusion I can come to is that I should be like them. I should be like them. But I'm not. And I don't think that's because I'm special necessarily. I just think I'm older. And I know that it's like a weird thing to say. But like, it feels right to say that. And I don't know, right? And I feel like me saying this makes me sound crazy and makes me sound delusional. But like, I don't fit in with the majority of people. And I don't think that that's because I'm just a weirdo. I think I'm a weirdo because I don't know. It's hard to talk about this because I know that everything that I am saying just makes me sound crazy. But I'm hoping that there are people out there that will hear this and be like, you know what? I kind of feel the same way. And I guess my goal with this video is to say two things, which I don't know if I've really clearly said it yet. Is one, they're children. They're children, right? The people running our world are children. The people that are hoarding wealth, that are killing and causing violence, are children. And as horrible as these acts look, they are the acts of a child that doesn't know better. And I know it's hard to see that because we don't look like, we look at everyone and we go, oh no, they're not a child. Look at them. They're 50, 60, 70 years old. They know better. 70 years is not enough to understand all of this. And that's the kind of thing I'm trying to get across with this as well, is that the level of understanding I feel I have, and maybe I'm delusional, I don't know anything, right? Which is, on one hand, yes, I don't know everything. I don't know anything. I'm not perfect. I'm not saying I've solved all the problems. I'm perfect. I know everything. All is figured out. Everything's good for me. No. But I have more understanding. The only conclusion I can make is that the level of understanding that I have has no logical backing. There's no reason why I should think the way I do, why I feel the way I do. There's no logical reason for me to be at the level I am compared to someone else. I'm just a human. Everyone is just human. And so pretty much my entire life, but at least the past few years, I have felt relatively alienated from just about everyone around me, old or young. And I don't think it's just because I'm some weirdo. Because the reality is that I can talk to people no problem. I just don't want to talk about the stuff that they do. Right? It's not that I can't talk to you. It's just that I have nothing to talk to you about. Because the things that I'm interested in, you're not. And the things that I like to do, I just feel like come off as bragging. I come home every day and I don't watch TV. I don't turn on the TV and watch Netflix or binge a show. I used to do that, right? The only thing I watch now is basically YouTube. I binge YouTube. And what do I watch on YouTube? I watch videos about physics, about biology, and like learning, like majority, and also like philosophy and some spirituality and just information that is interesting. Not entertaining to some extent, but not purely for entertainment purposes. Because I used to do that. But I don't like it anymore. Why would I waste my time why would I waste my time? I used to play video games all the time. I love playing with my friends. But why would I waste my time playing a video game when I can live in the real world? When I can do things that I make them and then they are there. They're always there. Once I turn the game off, it's gone, right? Once I move on to a new game, my progress is lost. Everything I do in the real world stays. So why would I waste my time in a video game, right? And so all of these things, if I try to talk about this to a person, I just sound like I'm bragging. I just sound like I'm trying to make myself sound cooler than I am. But I'm just being me. That's just who I am. That's what I do. I come home and that's what I do. And I can't talk about that to anyone because all it does is make them feel lesser. And so here I am, alienated. So I have a YouTube channel where I talk to basically no one. No one watches my videos. I still make the videos because it's not for the people watching, it's for me. And the thing is that these people are children and they just haven't gotten the understanding yet. So, you shouldn't hate a child for doing something bad, right? Yes, they are doing bad things, right? But if a child smacks you, right, how do you react to that? This child hits you. Does this child know that what it's doing? Does the child understand that if I hit the child, it would cry and blubber like the baby that it is, right? No, it's a child. All right? They don't realize that, hey, I don't want to get hit. I shouldn't hit them. They don't know that yet. They don't understand that. Right? They have to grow up before they understand when I hit someone, that makes them feel bad. They don't understand that yet. That's not, the comprehension's not fully there of what that means, right? Of what that does, what its implications are. And so these people that are doing terrible things in the world are consciously children. And so I think that's an important perspective to have when you're looking at them, because I feel a lot of people have this pent-up anger and aggression and rage towards, the people that are doing these things. And I think a level of compassion is needed to counteract it, because as awful as these things are, it's relatively trivial in the grand scheme of things. And I know that sounds absurd to say because people are dying and suffering and awful things are happening in this world. But it's relatively, I know it sounds deranged. It's relatively trivial. And so I'm not saying that we should allow them to do these things, right? but the solution is not to beat the child. What I'm saying is the solution is not to beat the child for misbehaving. The solution is to show them the proper action, to show them the implications of their actions, to provide them the understanding for them to make the proper decision. And getting back to what I'm saying as well, is the other thing I'm trying to say is that this entire talk, what I'm saying, right? I don't think I'm as young as I look. And I think it's important to understand that, because it's not important for everyone else to understand that. It's important for each person individually to realize that the age of your body is not necessarily the age of you. And I think that is very important to think about. The age of your body matters to an extent, right? Children are still children. Not everyone, as I said, not everyone is like this. Some people are still children, right? And I don't know how old I think I am. I don't know how long it takes to get the understanding I have, right? But I feel like there's no way I have this understanding at my age. There's just no way. And I think that's interesting. And I wanted to share it because I don't think I'm the only one. And the more I think about it, the more I can't see how it could be wrong. Because, I try and look back and watching a video that tells you, watching a video on psychology does not provide you with the understanding of experience. It just doesn't. There's a reason why the stereotype is that older people are wiser. There's a reason for that stereotype. It's because experience builds wisdom. It builds understanding. And I don't see how, I've said this so many times now. I don't see how it could possibly be any other way. Because, and I'm gonna, as I said, this doesn't mean that I'm perfect. I'm still human. I'm still a human. I don't think that means I'm not human. I don't think that means that I'm something better, something beyond, something above, right? I'm just saying that I'm older. We're all conscious beings on this planet. And I'm just saying that my consciousness has been around a little longer, right? You don't look at an adult. You look at an adult and you may say, "Oh, wow, they're an adult. They know more," right? But that doesn't necessarily make them better than you, right? And that's kind of how I feel. I feel like an adult around a bunch of children, and it's a little frustrating, right? Because there's not a lot of good conversation to be had. There's not a lot of companionship to be had because they're just kids, right? And at some point, you get tired of taking care of kids. And I think a part of me is just, it's just tired of dealing with kids. Yeah, I'm just tired of dealing with kids. And not like physical, like kids that are like in. I don't even know how to talk about this. This is a problem. Just I'm tired of dealing with spiritually childish people. And unfortunately, every time that I've attempted to reach out to a person that I think, hey, maybe they're not a child, right? Basically, I guess fate or whatever has told me no. No, they're not going to answer you. No, you're on your own on this one. And so it kind of stinks. But, that's where I am. And I wanted to talk about that just because, as I've said, I'm tired of dealing with kids. And I'm tired of being alone. And the thing is that I love being alone because I hate dealing with kids. I don't hate it, but I'm tired of it. So I live in an apartment by myself, and I love the solitude of my apartment. But I don't want to be truly alone, but I'd rather be alone than around a bunch of children. Because it's draining. It's draining. And it's just exhausting living in a world that's run by children. Because they don't know what they're doing. And that's fine, they're figuring it out. But I hate that I have to wait for them to figure it out. It's exhausting. It's exhausting to, go along with the act and pretend like I'm having fun and like having a good time playing with the kids when really I just want to go take a nap. I just want a nap, And I can't. I can't take a nap because then I'm not playing the game. You got to play games with us. Come on. Let's have some fun. It's not fun. It's not fun. And I haven't found a way to get out of it yet. But I feel like the only way for me to get out of it is to teach them. But the problem is that I can't teach children that don't want to learn. And so I'm kind of stuck in this trap of maybe my own making. And I don't know, all I want to do is farm. I just want to grow plants and make food and build communities and help people. But I don't know how to do it. I know what I want to do, but I don't know how to make it happen. I have an idea, but it's going to take some time. And as I said, I'm tired. And I've been trying to do this alone, and I just don't think I can, right? And so yeah, I don't know. I really don't. I feel like I kind of went all over the place with this one. But I'm just tired. And it's not that there's no one around, right? Like I can talk to kids, right? I can talk to kids, but what are they going to say to me? What they're interested in, I have no concern with. Like, you think about like I'm so detached from like the current trends. I don't know what is currently the trending things, but like you think about like, what is it? Gen Z or Gen Alpha is like the newest generation or something, right? Like trying to talk to them about something, I don't even know where to start, right? Because I don't live in their world. I'm not a part of that. I'm not a part of that culture. I'm barely online, right? Some of these kids are chronically online. And I'm not. So like people that are like, oh, you know that TikTok trend? No, I don't know that TikTok trend. I can't talk to you about that stuff. Like, I don't even know where to start. I don't know what you're talking about, right? And it's the same way if I try to talk to them about something. Like, we can talk, but we can't communicate. And I feel like this was not what I was going for with this, but this is where it ended up. Kind of me just venting my frustration, I guess. But going back to what I was saying, I called these the main things that I was saying here. Try and wrap it up in summary. The people that do bad things do it because they are a child. And you can hate them all you want for doing these things, but the reality is that if you know that those things are wrong and you would never do them, it's probably because you've already done it yourself. Not in this life, but probably in another. So you can be all high and mighty all you want, right? You can laugh at a child for burning their hand or call a child stupid for sneaking out, right? But the reality is that you probably did that yourself, right? When you were young, you call them stupid, right? And that their actions are foolish and things along those lines. But you've probably been there before. And that's how you know. And anyone that's a parent or has lived enough in this life can see that to be true. Like, and if you don't, then a part of me, I think you're lying to yourself, right? And as I'm saying, like, I don't have kids. I'm gonna be 25. I'm gonna be 25. Quarter of a century. It's nothing. It's nothing. I've barely done anything with my life, right? I went to college. Now I have a job. What have I done with my life? Very little. The level of understanding I have does not, like, I've watched a lot of YouTube videos and listened to audiobooks and done all these things, and I've pursued this information and this knowledge. But pursuing it and understanding it are two very different things. It's one thing to hear, it's another thing to know, right? And I've come to the conclusion that there's just no way I'm only 25. There's just no way. And as I'm saying, like, does it change anything about my life? No. I'm gonna have to keep living here, right? It's what I'm doing. But I think it's an important kind of insight to have, because it helps me to realize that if I'm not 25, right? If I have more understanding than I should, right? If I'm not 25, then what's going on around me is not everything, right? Because if I'm not actually 25 and it's just my body that's 25, then this life is not all that there is. And the state of the world is not all that there is, right? And I guess that gives me a glimpse of hope. And maybe that is just Me just riding on pure delusion and hopium, and I'm absolutely crazy. But I don't think so. Because I'm not just spouting nonsense here. I truly don't believe that. A majority of what I say, if you look out at the world, you will find it to be true. You will find it to be true because it is. And I'm not saying I'm the smartest and wisest man to ever live, right? But what I am saying is that how could I possibly know that at 25? How could I possibly? And I'm not the only one. And if you've watched this video this long, you probably understand. Or at least I hope. As I say, I don't get a lot of views on my videos. So, we'll see what happens. But I rambled a bit. Still not perfect. Still human. Still just a guy in the world. But it's important to understand that people that wrong you probably don't fully understand their actions and are still a child. And if you can see that, then you're probably not. Maybe. I don't know. And I don't know. If I'm right, if this is true, then it's good news. It's good news, right? Because that means that as crazy as things are on this planet, it's going to be all right. Because this isn't all that there is. This isn't the end all be all. It's not you die and it's done. Right? So that's good news. But we'll see. Right? Maybe I'm just some crazy guy on the internet, doesn't know what he's talking about. We'll see. Peace out.